He's not ready.
I will do motions to approve, I guess, first.
That would be great.
Only other
Moves the
one,
meeting along.
maybe not B and C, but the rest I'll take care of.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, July 21st meeting of the Westport Select Board. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. I don't have any welcome comments. Anybody have any comments?
Nope.
We do have an executive session at the end of this meeting, but we will not conduct business after that. So when we adjourn to go to an executive, we'll not come back to open session except to adjourn. Our next meeting is in 2 weeks, which is August 3rd. So Monday, August 3rd will be our next meeting. The first item we have on the agenda is a public hearing, a petition from Verizon New England and NSTAR to install a pole on the east side of Drift Road in front of 1024. Now, we've continued this one a few times, and Jim, can you talk about this one?
We have, there's been a request by the applicant to give leave to withdraw.
Request to withdraw.
Yes.
Okay, so do we need a
Yeah, I'd request granting leave to withdraw.
okay.
Recommend.
Motion to withdraw.
Second?
So we have a motion and a second to recommend granting the applicant leave to withdraw. Was there anyone here to talk on that subject? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous with 2 absences. So the next hearing isn't scheduled until 6:15, so I'm sorry to do this to you, but we're going to skip around in the agenda so that we can meet the 6:15, we have 6:15, 6:25, and 6:35. So we're going to skip down to 2A. 2A is a request from Weatherlow Farms for a one-day liquor license for Friday, August 8th from 5 to 9. We do have the paperwork and the police report was favorable.
Motion to approve, one-day license.
Second?
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, this is a familiar request. This request is actually modest compared to previous years. There have been no problems, and the police report is favorable, so I'd be in support of this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous with 2 absences. We have now 2B, a request from A Wish Come True, Inc. for a one-day liquor license at the Holy Ghost Club, 179 Sodom Road, for Saturday, September 6th from 12 to 7, and Sunday, September 7th from 12 to 7. This is another location that frequently has these types of events, and we do have a favorable police report.
Motion to approve.
Second, Madam Chair.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous with 2 absences. We have a request from the Holy Ghost Club at 171 Sodom Road for a one-day liquor license at 179 Sodom Road, Sunday, July 27 from 1 to 5 for a celebration of life, Saturday, August 2nd, 1 to 6 for a concert, and again, we have favorable police reports for both those events.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We're going so fast, we have to keep going. Okay, so we're on 3A. 3A, we have a request from Henry Lanier to accept his resignation from the Affordable Housing Trust.
Motion to accept resignation.
Second?
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous with 2 absences. Uh,
Tanya and Matt just showed up.
Yeah, Tanya's here.
And Matt, both.
So we have 10 minutes. I'm just trying to see if we have. Is it going to take more than 10 minutes? No. All right. So we're going to do 4A, Tanya. We have a request from Tanya Ryden, Chair of the Board of Health, to approve amendment to the Director of Public Health Employment Agreement. Hi. Good evening. So this is Tanya Ryden, Chair of the Board of Health, and Matt Armendo, the Director of Public Health. Do you want to tell us what you're looking for, or do you want Jim to start off?
Either way.
Okay, Tanya.
So we're requesting an amendment to Matt's contract to accomplish two things. One is increase the stipend amount to $10,000, which is what's authorized by DPH for overseeing the South Coast Community Collaborative, which is a six-town effort and a 400,000 plus grant per year. And you, I hope, got the annual report, so you have a little more flavor of what's been happening. And the second part is really to restructure the contract to align it correctly financially, because there was some miscommunication and confusion around the source of funding for the stipend, and there was no mention of the stipend in the last contract. He's been getting the stipend since the year before this contract amendment, but it got a little messed up. So we want to be clear that the base salary is lower than what he has right now, and the stipend is an add-on for doing this extra work. And if the grant goes away, or we no longer are the lead community, or some other circumstances, or if DPH changes the amount, authorization of the stipend, that would either disappear or adjust accordingly.
Okay, so it just more clearly spells out that money is coming from the grant and is
Right.
subject to us still participating in the grant and having that same role.
Right. So that's what this, so it clarifies the distinction, instead of rolling it all into the salary, which is what happened last year, and so it backs that out and puts the correct salary amount for this past year and the next 2 years of the term of the contract,
Okay.
and outlines the stipend separately.
Right, and Jim, you've reviewed this, right?
I have, yes.
Are you recommending approval?
I recommend approval. I will say that, I just want to indicate, we have a lot of department heads that really deserve probably a little bit more, so be in favor of that as well at some point.
All right, are there any questions or?
I just want to clarify, I think it goes without saying that this money, the $10,000, does not come out of our budget. It has no effect on other departments. It's from the state for the services rendered in this program.
That's good. This actually corrects that. Last year, we had $5,000 from the operating budget that covered the $5,000
Right.
stipend. This will be completely out of the grant now, so
Yeah.
it'll be a $5,000 savings to the operating budget.
And I just remind the town that the town, as Westport as the lead community, out of the grant gets $65,000 to the town budget, separate from the stipend, in recognition of the work that, the town has to do in terms of helping us with hiring and accounting and all that kind of stuff. So it's an extra $65,000 for the town as a result of us getting this grant.
So just to clarify, so you're saying last year's salary was greater than what it should have been because the grant was basically considered part of the salary, so that's going to pull the salary back to what it should be,
Right.
and then the grants will get paid otherwise?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I had earlier questions, but I think they've all been answered in the course here of the last couple of weeks, so I'd be prepared to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous with 2 absences. Anything else for you, Tanya?
No, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Thanks.
It's not yet 6:15, so we're going to skip to 4D. We have a request from Curtis Geckel at 258 Brayton Point Road for permission to park cars in front of his property on the road on July 26th. So Brayton Point Road is currently marked no parking. He's having a gathering at his house and has asked for permission to park cars for that time. And we do have a favorable police recommendation for that request. And he did the same thing last year.
There-
Is he here? No.
Madam Chair, if I may, this is common over there. It's not just Mr. Geckel, but others have occasionally asked for permission. I don't recall, since I've been on the Select Board for 7 years, ever being a problem. So everybody understands the rules, and therefore I would recommend approval.
Second?
Is there any discussion?
And just real quick, there are no concerns from any neighbors or anything with it?
We have not heard anything.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous with one absence. I think it's close enough to 6:15. So we have the petitioners here. So we have a petition from Verizon New England and NStar Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy to install 6 jointly owned mid-span poles on Horseneck Road, 694 to 714 Horseneck Road. You want to come forward? Welcome. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, good evening, Madam President and members of the Select Board. Jessica Elder, representing Eversource.
Hey, my name is John Moore. I work for NBC representing Verizon.
All right, thank you. And what do you got going on over there?
Do you want to start this one, please? Okay,
I can start it, and I can,
Okay.
normally the Verizon would be.
Sure. Well, I know because of the electric upgrade that Eversource wants to do, it's going to increase the pole load or even a wind load with the present poles that are there now, because the spans between the poles, are so great that it's going to add to the pole load and/or the wind load being down here close to the water. So to prevent any kind of disruption, God forbid, if we didn't put these poles in, by putting the poles in these mid-spans, it's going to decrease the pole load and/or the wind load with the project that Eversource wants to do on the poles as themselves.
So there are already poles there.
Correct.
And these are going in between the existing poles.
Yes.
They're called mid-span poles.
Okay. All right, anybody have any questions?
Have there been any concerns based on property owners there, impacting them? I know the previous one we had some,
I think there's one property owner that had a question, but I think it's been resolved or it's been addressed.
secondary question, is that okay? Is this being done for other projects that may be in the works, like solar,
Yeah,
take
these
on
are-
Not to my
capacity?
knowledge.
These are not interconnection poles.
These are
They are
not?
not.
No.
Okay.
They are not, no. They're mid-span poles, completely independent of any solar developers.
So it is talking about increasing capacity, but that's not for that reason?
No, this
No.
is
Okay.
work that will increase supply and capacity and directly benefit residents and businesses in the area that are affecting in the town.
Okay.
No, I think this makes sense, and I don't know if we've ever had the exact example before of load figures or anything like that, but these are from time to time approved because there's a good reason to supply electricity. And I hear nobody's really opposed to this, or were, but...
Well, we haven't asked yet.
Yeah, at least, okay, then, well, that'll become apparent, but, I'm favorably disposed toward it, but I'd be glad to listen to other comments.
Okay, so this is a public hearing, and the butters were notified. So is there anybody here that wants to speak to this? You need to go to the microphone over here, and we're happy to talk to you. Not really yet.
Pretty short.
Very good.
Do you know what,
Please,
do you know what parcel of land?
introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Karen Gonsalves. I'm sorry, I got this letter. Does not directly affect me, but I'm in a butter to these proposed poles. So I wondered do you have some kind of idea whose parcel of land these new poles are going to be on? Especially like 694 and 698, those are pretty close together. So is it going to be right at the boundary? Is it going to be on 694?
Half of the poles will be to the left of Cross Road, half will be to the right.
Right.
We have 714 as a base point there.
Yes.
So the actual polls that are out there start at pole 103, if you happen to get out to go look at.
I did look, and I didn't see it, I didn't see a number on it.
You didn't see a number on it?
No, no.
Sometimes they're hard to see, sometimes they come off, unfortunately.
Okay.
They shouldn't all be off, but 104, 105, 106 as they go down.
Okay.
In sync.
So then that diagram that you proposed here,
Yes.
that would, okay, so that would pretty much tell you where it was going to land.
Right, and those
Okay.
poles are going right in between there.
Okay. So this has nothing to do with like this offshore wind, right?
No.
Because
no.
I had this.
Nope, this is purely for safety and reliability.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
you.
Is there anyone else? Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I'd recommend approval.
I second that.
Is there any further discussion?
I will vote in favor of both of this proposal, on the caveat that we're not using it to increase capacity for solar or offshore wind in that area of Westport, so I will be supporting it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's 3 in favor with 2 absences. Thank you.
Thank you again. Thanks for having, have a good evening.
Next one too?
Have a great day.
Are you here for the next one too?
I'm only here for this one. Is there another pole issue or?
We have another
Pretty
poll.
much the same location, within a couple of 100 yards of these.
So we have a second petition, which is poll 1, will be in line approximately 87 feet north of pole 122 and south of pole 121.
I don't think I'm here for that at all.
Anybody else here for that one?
Well, there was 2 petitions on there. I don't-
Oh, was it?
Yeah, there were 2 petitions. I thought it was the first one that you announced, that
The first one was the,
was the Verizon. I thought that was the first one. But there is,
all right, so let me just read that.
Sure.
So this one is the
Yes.
petition from Verizon New England and NSTAR Electric doing business as Eversource Energy to install one jointly owned mid-span pole numbered 121.5 on the west side of Horseneck Road. The new pole will be installed in line with and approximately 87 feet north of existing pole 122 and approximately 88 feet south of pole 121 near 907 Horseneck. And this one, we have a note that there was a concern from an abutter. Is that abutter here? Okay. So this is just some more poles.
it's the same process, the mid-span pole going in between joint owned pole 121 and 122.
All right, and it's not extra capacity for solar or?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here to speak to this one? Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I recommend approval, Madam Chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor and 2 absent. Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
about
you.
the confusion.
Thank you.
We have another hearing, but it's not till 6:35, so I am going to hold on that one for until 6:35.
4B.
Yeah.
Do you sign those, Paul, or do you usually sign those, or does Jake?
Would be me.
There's 2, Jake signs on the first one and the board signs on the second.
Ah, okay.
There's 2 pages of signatures on each petition. So the first, that one, I'll put just Jake's, then the next petition
Yeah.
on the page.
The red one, that's
Me? Okay.
the clerk. Then the green ones are us.
Okay.
Okay, phew, all right.
We can do 4B if you want. We can do 4B if you want.
Do you want to do B? All right, so we're going to do 4B. We have a request to approve the Community Paradigm Associates LLC Town Administrator Search Proposal for $15,000. So Jake, you want to tell us about this one?
So, obviously with Jim's retirement in the fall timeframe, I wasn't a big supporter of going out to an executive search committee and spending the resources, but I know that money has been budgeted. At the last meeting, Dick and myself were included in kind of the process and having a call with Community Paradigm Associates. So I was comfortable after the meeting. We're going to have a lot of input as a town in the hiring of the new town administrator. That was one of my biggest concerns from the get-go, is that, maybe someone was already earmarked for the position. So I think, with us being involved, both Dick, myself, and we're also going to probably put together almost like a hiring board here in town with a couple other individuals, hopefully, to, work through the process. They're going to be very, very helpful on the kind of the front end with scheduling of interviews. We will get to see all the resumes and on that basically personnel board that we'll create. So at the end of the day, I think it's a smart move. I think we should probably approve this. I think it will be making Jim's job a lot easier on the front end with screening of resumes, scheduling, and all that. So I really was against this in the get-go, but I've come around and agree that we should probably move in this direction, and we'll have a good voice in the process. So.
Dick, you were also involved with.
Yeah, I was involved recently, as Jake indicates, but I also was involved the last time. It was the same firm, Community Paradigm. I've seen their work. I think what they're going to do for us is good, and I think the price is very fair. I didn't divide this by number of person hours, but it's a pretty fair rate in my opinion. So I think we need to do this. We will have a screening committee. Jake and I will be willing to participate on that with others, and we can recommend some people maybe at the next meeting. But yeah, I think it's imperative that we do something like this as a matter of due diligence, and these people do a good job, more importantly. So I would support this, and to the point of making a recommendation to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's 3 in favor and 2 absent. And so you're going to come back on a future meeting and talk about the selection committee that's going to work with them?
Yeah, we refer to that as a screening committee.
Screening committee, okay. And then at the appropriate time, you'll bring them here to talk to us.
Yeah, and we'll set out a schedule as to what's going to happen and what the timelines are, and so we can create expectations and more importantly, keep the program on track.
Okay. All right, thank you. So we're going to go to 4C. We have a request from Rachel Berkeley, trustee of the Milford Farm Trust, to tear down the existing dwelling at 667 Horse Neck Road in accordance with the agricultural preservation restriction. And the applicant is here. So you can come up and sit. So we talked about this at the previous meeting. So this is the long distance from the house, and then this is the rendering. So the part that we were confused at before was it talked about moving the existing dwelling. So it's hard to see here, but this right here is the outline of the existing dwelling, right? And then so that dwelling is coming down, and then this new building is going to be built. Okay.
Correct.
Got it. And because this is under an agricultural preservation restriction, you can't just move buildings around without permission, but you've gotten the permission from...
The Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources.
Okay, so the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture has already approved it, but you need ours because we had to sign off on the preservation restriction.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, everybody caught up with where we are? Mm-hmm. So I forget what the questions were that we had last time.
I think there was a question on whether it was moving the existing house or taking down and rebuilding, which it's the latter case.
Okay, so it's taking down and rebuilding.
In a different location to be farther from the water from the edge of the hillside.
Right, okay. All right, any questions?
Will the house be less visible since you're moving it back compared to what is it?
It will be less prominent from the water, which we view as a positive.
As a positive
for everyone.
for the scenery. Okay. I was slightly opposed to it in the get-go. But private property rights, and that's what you want to do, and Mass Department of Agriculture is okay with it. And it may help with our scenic views a little bit better.
The hope is that it helps with those, and it's also for us trying to be good stewards. We've had the house for 6 years and really seen a lot of failure on roof, on windows, on everything, given its location, sort of sited at the edge of the hill at that high point with wind and all of that. So being able to have a structure that can last a lot longer feels like a responsible thing to do while making sure we're actually shrinking the yard footprint to make more potential agricultural space.
Okay.
Any questions?
I have no further questions.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second?
there any further discussion?
And just thank you for coming and giving us kind of the lay of the land. We were trying to decipher that the last time,
No,
and
I'm sorry I wasn't here.
we
before.
appreciate that. It makes it a little bit easier, and probably for the residents as well.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that's 3 in favor and 2 absent, so
Wonderful.
good luck.
I have a physical form that I think I need signed.
Okay,
How
yes.
should I go about
Talk
doing
to Paula, or
Oh, you guys have. Yeah. Thank you.
we're going to sign it like right now.
I think it's just you.
I think you only need to sign it.
Well, just Shauna.
All right. I don't think we have time for the long-term building committee update before our 6:35. How about the minutes? Minutes of July 7.
We're going to need a copy.
Jake, minutes of July 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to approve. I reviewed them earlier today.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor and 2 absent.
Jumping around quite a bit, I can't keep up.
Well, it's not my fault that somebody put these so far apart. I guess it is my fault because I approved the agenda.
I think he's here if you want to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's 6:35, but I think it's close.
He's here, I think, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
In case there's an abutter or something.
Gotcha.
I think we're probably close. All right, you can, so this is back to the hearing, 1D. We have a request from AGT Auto Group, Inc., doing business as Auto Buyer Pro for a Class 2 license at 972B State Road with Dominic Plord as manager with a total of 40 cars. So welcome, have a seat. Can you just introduce yourselves, please?
My name's Anthony Tortolano.
Dominic Plord.
Okay, welcome. So what are you doing over there, gentlemen?
So we're looking to open a car lot. Looks like they approved 40 cars.
Yeah, that's what we had to get.
Yep. So we're going to do a combination wholesale and retail. And
Is there already a car lot that's changing?
Yeah, it's Samco, but it's the car lot's called something different.
it was, I think it was S and F Auto Sales, maybe.
There's a car lot
It
license.
was a car
in,
lot, yes.
Is that FNS, the pizza people?
Not F&R.
No.
Oh no.
Okay.
Not F&R. Unfortunately, back in the day, I moved to F&R when I had nowhere to go.
All right, so this
That didn't
is
work out.
currently a location that has been selling cars. It's changing ownership.
Yes.
Is it changing the layout? Are you,
They moved the fence back to make more spaces. Just moved it a little bit.
okay. And so we have a note here, so we have a police recommendation, but we do not yet have the fire and building department recommendation. Is that right, Paula?
You did it to Thursday. Thursday, they recommended that he get moved. So he hasn't had a chance.
Yeah,
But they are working.
they called me Friday morning, and it's because he moved the fence, I gotta do a new plan, they said. So, like, if they would've called a few weeks ago, I would've had it ready, but they just called me Friday.
So I think we have 3 options. We can deny it, or we can continue the hearing, or we can approve subject to receiving the sign-off from the fire and building department. I think those are our options.
And we've had no abutters or anyone, Samco or anyone voice any concerns with respect to you, Jim, or anyone else?
Yeah, Samco's going to lease out the property.
Oh, they're leasing it out.
Portion of it, right? You guys.
Yeah, it's 2 separate.
So basically what he did was he took where the fence, see where it says fence on the left-hand side?
Yeah.
The back of the fence was probably, what, about there? And he basically oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
He might have moved it,
And he just moved it
30
backwards.
feet, maybe 20 feet, I would guess.
So now where it says leased space is
Yeah, that
just a
wasn't there before.
larger.
That fence went across where the 7s are, I guess, where the building is.
Right.
He moved the fence back so we could have more room, but we used his old plans, so they said because of now it's new, a new setup or whatnot. So we need new plans, I guess. I don't know.
But that's currently asphalt and already parking?
Yeah, and it's already been a
Okay.
car dealership.
Okay.
Yep.
If we want to do it pending.
So this is a public hearing. Is there anyone to speak on that? No. I think pending is fine.
So, to the chair, I make a motion to approve the license pending both fire department and building department approval of the site plan?
Second, Madam Chair.
Is there any discussion? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor and 2 absents. Good luck.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, guys.
Good luck.
All right, help me keep me honest. I think we are at 5A. Have we? I
I'm
think we
crossing
did-
stuff off, so I will see.
I think we did everything up to 5A.
Yes.
Okay, so this is 5A. Are they out there? Is he coming?
Here a minute ago.
So 5A is a discussion from the Long-Term Building Committee update. Chair, Christopher Brasher. Mr. Brasher?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Okay, so just to give a little bit of a background of where we've been over the past 6 months, the Long-Term Building Committee has been working with RGB Architects on a comprehensive study of municipal building use, specifically the old high school, the Council on Aging, the Town Hall, and the Town Hall Annex. And we've had several meetings. There's been several back and forth with RGB. A lot of work on presentations, and we did have a community meeting in the spring, which was very well attended. There was certainly strong support indicated for repurposing the old high school. There was a lot of emphasis on shared space. There was also a great deal of discussion about ways in which the building is currently being used, whether it's the basketball leagues, of course, the school athletic fields, there's the out-of-school time program that's currently housed there as well. And there were, like I said, there was certainly a strong community turnout for that meeting, and a strong preference, it seemed, to try and find ways to repurpose that building. So the study, now just to give a little bit of a background on where we are process-wise, I'm here today just giving basically an update from the committee after our latest meeting. But there is I guess the hope is to have RGB in the next, at the next select board meeting, to actually go through a bit of a presentation of their findings and their study as it wraps up. So there were several different strategic and fiscal considerations that we went through, including options such as doing nothing. Also took a look at whether demolition was feasible, partial demolition. There's all sorts of options that we also found that simply weren't viable. Specifically, there was not a great opportunity for, or a great, there's not a great support for selling the building at this time because of the issues that would arise with the need for athletic fields, among other things. There was also, talk of demolition of the building and the costs associated with that. And I believe the last estimate just for demolition was about 3.5, was it somewhere between $3.5 million just to demolish the building and get, nothing but a blank slate after that. So the committee looked at several different options, including like I said, a demolition, a partial demolition, even just repurposing the newest addition from the 70s, which would be the gym and a couple other parts of the facility. Also looked at an option of refurbishing the entire building as it stands. However, the option that seemed to get the most, I guess, bang for the buck would actually be the creation of a community campus. I don't want to go into too much detail in the particulars of it, simply because I think it'd be appropriate for RGB to present that as far as the next presentation goes, to get really into it. So the option that is being discussed certainly delivers the highest long-term value for the cost. It also does utilize existing assets and protect the existing assets, such as the gym. It allows for basically moving town offices into the building, or into one of the three separate buildings. It would also involve moving, of course, the COA programming. There would be significant square footage additions for programming. The COA, I think, would have about 4,000 square feet more of dedicated space, and that's not counting the auditorium and other common areas that would certainly be used by the COA. And there, like I said, I don't want to get into too many details just because I think it's appropriate for RGB to show all of what they have worked with us over the past few months at the next meeting. But I did want to give an update based on our July 8th meeting, where the committee did vote to recommend to the select board to proceed with the community campus option. So just to talk about the process here, the reality is that every option, even including doing nothing, will likely exceed, not just likely, will exceed the available general budget for the town. So whether the option is to demolish it or to repurpose the building, you're looking at the possibility of a debt exclusion pretty much no matter what. There is an estimated cost associated with the community campus plan, somewhere in the neighborhood of 69 to 72 million. And of course, a debt exclusion would be necessary to come up with that. The committee felt that based on the fact that any option was going to take a significant outlay of funds that would require debt exclusion, like I said, including just the demolition, I certainly felt, and I think others on the committee felt, that it would be appropriate to put a question to the taxpayers at a special town meeting to see if the town would support creating a community campus and an asset for the town going forward. Or the flip side of that is if the community does not want to pursue that, then the conversation would need to change into, well, are we looking at a debt exclusion to demolish it? So, process-wise, basically, I'm not asking, certainly not asking for any approvals or action from the select board at this time, but what I would imagine would be the next steps is that RGB would come in, give a full rundown of the findings of their study, which includes some nitty-gritty financials and shows the costs expected for other town buildings over the 30 years. Again, if nothing was done, as opposed to the costs associated with creating this community campus. We would plan to have a public meeting shortly after that, should the select board choose to continue with this option. With the thought of having a special town meeting, of course, it would take a town meeting action as well as a vote to authorize a debt exclusion. So, at this point, that's kind of where we are right now. I'd certainly entertain any questions that I'll do my best to answer if anyone has them.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just had a couple of questions to Mr. Thrasher. In this community proposal, does that include moving all the offices from Town Hall to the old high school?
It would include all of the offices from the annex and could potentially include all of the offices from the town hall. But I think the key is that there would certainly be flexible space to do it with flexible space for municipal use that could be utilized as needed. I think that there was a clear, if you look at just the cost per square foot of current buildings, the annex is kind of the leader in a category you don't necessarily want to lead. So that was kind of the first, first and foremost, it would involve those offices. But the square footage allocation was enough that it could be all town offices.
As you are aware, that has a lot of implications
Yes, of course.
for the nature of the town. What is the town center?
Yes,
I
indeed.
guess the old high school is sort of located geographically in the center,
That is correct, yes.
but that's really not the center of town as we talk about it today.
Indeed, and it should be also noted, one of the options looked at the potential of doing nothing with the old high school or perhaps putting on an addition to the town hall. There's a few reasons why I think the committee chose not to recommend that. But again, there's a lot more detail, I guess, to come when RGB presents the totality of their findings at the next meeting. Should you choose to put it on the agenda, of course, so.
Madam Chair, so Christopher, obviously, when they come in, I mean, we're going to have price tags associated with every single one of these options, what we get with the options, like the community campus option. Does it include a swimming pool? I mean, we're at 70 million. I mean, what does that actually include for the community and for the people here? I hope they have that kind of laid out.
So, and again, I guess my goal here today was just to give kind of an update on the committee activity. I certainly can I'd be happy to provide the select board with a preliminary version of the plan.
So we have the big presentation in our packet today.
Okay, good deal. And I will say, RGB plans on giving a presentation. It would not be all 50 slides or 49 slides, of course, during the meeting, but it would entail continuing to utilize the gym, and the recreation department would have a significant amount of space added. The Council on Aging would have a significant amount of space added. It would include still utilizing the building, classrooms for the out-of-school time program, as well as other potential educational programming. It would also include, let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. Of course, like I said, the town offices would also have a significant amount of space dedicated towards any kind of community performing arts usage. Of course, the auditorium there. One thing I think that RGB will certainly mention in their presentation is how how good the bones are on this building, and the auditorium also being one of the standout features of this building.
So the community campus option, I mean, you have an option for refurbish the entire building. Is that included as part of the community campus, or refurbishing would be a different price tag?
The adaptive reuse option looked at leaving the building footprint as is completely. There are a few downsides to that, not the least of which is the idea of having to have a single system, single HVAC, single, the mechanical aspect of having a singular large edifice is a little bit, certainly adds some operating costs. Whereas if you had, if you partitioned the building into three different parts, you would have separate systems for each of those. You also, one of the keys I think that RGB was trying to help emphasize was the idea of this could be something that is not just utilized from 8 to 4. It would be certainly being able to be utilized after hours, weekends, and the idea of separating the facility into separate parts helps make that more feasible and also more cost effective.
So, and we're going to address this obviously at a later date, but I mean, let's assume you go to town meeting with a $70 million option. That's 75% of what the brand-new school costs, and the heavy lift that people on this board did to get that passed.
It's actually more, because the MSBA paid for
that's
over
right.
40%. So this would be an increase in taxes more than the new school.
And I don't know, I don't want to throw water on this right now, but to ask for 70 million for a community campus that doesn't include everything in one area, providing other opportunities for people across, all demographics here in town, I'm having a tough time. But let's ignore that. What if that option fails? Let's assume you go to town meeting and you're asking for the 70 million and it fails. Where are we now? Are we back to the drawing board?
To me, that is actually the chief argument, or one of the chief arguments for presenting this to the town, is that no matter what, every option is going to cost a significant amount of money. Whether it's doing nothing and letting it sit there and rot, that's still gonna, what is it, Jim, what is it, at least 250,000 a year?
About 250, 300,000 a year.
A year.
And that's just leaving it sit as it is, as is. And also, I think those who use the facility as it is right now know this, but the entire town may not. That facility is actually used significantly by, like I said, the rec leagues. The out-of-school time is still going on. So and the athletic fields again. Every option is going to cost money, including demolishing it. So, in my mind, I feel that giving the town an option to create something that would be a focal point, if not the exact center, certainly a center for town activity, and something that would serve all facets of the population of town, multi-generational, this would be something that would be kind of a crown jewel for the town going forward for many, many years. I feel that option has to be presented. We owe it to the town to at least present the option, because like I said, I'd rather go stand up in front of a town meeting and ask for $69-70 million to create something that will serve every individual in Westport, instead of going up there and asking for $4 million to tear it down.
But isn't there a way to use it in its current format with everyone that's in there for, I mean, I think we need to be provided the specifics, right? I mean, if we keep it in its current format, and let's assume this fails and we still have the rec leagues in there, we still have the after-school programs that are going on in there, and maybe we have other communities here in Westport using it, will that still be an option if this 70 million fails?
So there's a significant question as to what would classify code changes. It's not even really a question. It is known. Basically, any additional use from what is happening right now would trigger code compliance issues.
Okay.
So really, if you're talking about leaving it as is, the program that's being used right now, that would be it.
You couldn't bring anything else into the school because
Not without incurring significant liability, for one thing, for the town.
So this was, maybe, this might be more fair to have RGB talk about this, but at one of the meetings that I listened to, they were of the opinion that we have already changed use and thus already subject to code compliance. And I know that is a little bit shaky, but I'm really worried about liability because if we should have triggered a code change and something happens while people are in there, that's very concerning. So I do think there is this perception that we don't have to trigger the code compliance. For one, you should have people in a safe building. But I think we really want to hear more probably from RGB about can we keep using it the way we're using it and spend $300,000 a year? What risk does that have? I know I've said this before, that I would, before we use that building for much more than we're using it now, I would like to hear from an insurance agent and a lawyer and a code compliance officer that what we're doing is okay. This is one thing I know Mr. Lima is back there and he's really advocating for keeping it educational for seniors, but I still want a lawyer and an insurance agent and a code compliance officer to tell me that that's okay. And I don't know if we're going to get that from RGB, but I think that's something I want to hear from them.
So, I certainly wouldn't pretend to be an expert on code compliance. I see some potential issues, just looking at it as it is right now, but mostly I would be seriously concerned if there was an influx of usage and programming as it stands right now. I think there's enough of a gray area, I guess, right now. This isn't a legal opinion. This is just I'm certainly an attorney, but not this particular type, that's for sure. So I will say that, again, if this building is going to be utilized for something beyond what it is currently being utilized, we have to look at the very least, making code adjustments or code compliance improvements. And I believe the price tag to that was somewhere close to 19 million anyway. So, and again, I wanted to make sure we gave this update right after, the first select board meeting, right after our meeting, our long-term building committee meeting. But this is what we've been paying RGB to do over the past 6 months, and they've done a very good job putting a lot out there. So, when they are here, I think they can answer a lot more of the nitty-gritty details. If that makes sense.
To the chair's point, and I think we, in order for us as a select board to make that educated decision, I think they can come in and present, but we need to know the code compliance issues, the liability issues, and the legal opinion from somebody. Whether that costs, I don't know if we have funds to actually hire someone to give us that information, but, before we try to jump into a $70 million price tag, and then we can figure out, maybe we can refurbish it for 6 or 7 million, and or a change of use. I think we need to have all the options on the table. I'm afraid we may not have that right now. And if RGB or somebody else knows how to provide us that information, that's going to help.
The only thing I might push back a little bit on that is that there have been studies done specifically to code compliance. We had UTIL or UTIL back when. We've had, Jim, we've had a few different opinions on the code situations.
We had a
is that correct?
specific company come in and do a code analysis on the building, and they made that same determination. When RGB came in, they agreed with that, for the most part, I think, with that code compliance report.
And I know that there was some conversations with the insurance adjuster on the building or the insurance agent. Was there ever any details coming out of that by any chance? Or
Right now, the insurance hasn't changed. When the building becomes vacant, that becomes an issue. Insurance-wise, it's more expensive to insure. But other than that, we have not got involved with insurance.
Well, to Shauna's point, if we have school basketball, rec basketball in there and children, we better be pretty darn sure that we should be able to be using it for that purpose.
So I will say the building inspector through the current has issued occupancy for the gym and for those after-school programs. So he has looked at least at a small portion.
Those sections of
Those
it.
sections. He hasn't, and they still have, I think, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 staff people in the building that have never left, so that hasn't changed.
I think, so getting to the whole, presenting everything to the town, so I think you guys have a good job of these different issues, but the one that I keep hearing from people is just make a few repairs to the building and keep going, right? And I don't think we have, and when I said several years ago, that's in excess of $20 million to do that, and people are like, oh, no, it isn't, right? So for years, I've been saying it's in excess of $20 million to make repairs to the building, and people are like, oh, no, it's not that much. But do we, this adaptive reuse isn't just repairs to the building, it's repairs and upgrade and that kind of thing. But did we get any data about, just doing the bare minimums, what that costs?
yes, so the bare minimum code improvements, and this is just code improvements, no bells and whistles, was 19,700,000 and change. So, and that is, again, just the bare minimum, no.
Getting the heat working, getting the
Exactly.
sprinkler system, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
I have a question regarding the town meeting, because we all know that sometimes what happens at town meeting is different than what happens at the ballot box. We saw that with the override, where the town meeting group was supportive, and the same with the funding of the Route 6 sewer project. So the way I think about this, there's really 2 audiences, and it's not enough that the town meeting approves it. The wider audience, which is of course much larger, the people who don't go to town meeting, and it seems that that's where a lot of the opposition has come on these prior proposals. That's an audience that has to be reached to convince them of the cost benefit of doing this project.
yes, indeed.
So did the committee contemplate that or come up with any ideas as to how to get at that wider audience?
Short answer to that is yes. So the first community meeting that we had on this topic was actually held at the old high school media center. I think the turnout exceeded most of our expectations. I think it was close. If it wasn't more than showed up for annual town meeting this year, it was really close. Let's put it that way. And that was just the first in what is anticipated to be a series of public meetings. So I think as far as what the committee has talked about and what also Dia Wheeler has talked significantly about making the community events kind of interactive and making sure that the word gets disseminated out about those. We're looking at having one, like I said, directly after, should the select board choose to take any action. I like I said, I could see a timeline where you have a special town meeting in October, November, perhaps a ballot question shortly after that, depending on if the timeline works.
This October or November? You're talking about?
It was a thought that perhaps a special fall town meeting could possibly. I think the key to your earlier point, if the town decides not to do this or any option with that would involve significant improvement into the building, I think it is necessary that a direction, an action be taken one way or the other. This building has been in flux for quite a few years now, and I think that having it hanging over our heads, not just with budgeting, but also just long-term planning, building maintenance planning, even polling place. I've been in conversations with the town clerk about consolidating polling places and going to be using the new high school for now, but question is, well, will this building be available as a municipal center going forward? So I think that the overwhelming sentiment from just about everybody I have spoken to is that let's make a decision one way or the other. We may have differing opinions on the details, but I think we owe it to the town to take some action one way or the other. So.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about is getting the right word out, right? So the town meeting is usually about hard to do, but make sure you have enough time for all the information to get out to the voters and to get out the votes. That seems like a pretty tight time frame. But also, we've been talking about this for a very long time. And so, and I guess we'd also want to talk about, do you put more than one option in front of the voters? Like, do you put the community center or demolition both on the same ballot? I mean, I think there's a lot of things we have to think through about how we might message that.
I can see an argument for putting multiple options, but I also think that there's a benefit with starting with the ask that would create, like I said, a town, a real gem for the town, an asset for the entire population. Start there and see what happens. Because again, you get down to it, I'd rather, I'll say again, I'd rather ask for $60-some million to build something like that as opposed to $4 million to tear it down and get nothing and still have the same problems, whether it's needing a place for school administration, whether it's needing a place for a basketball league, needing a place for athletic fields. That doesn't really solve the problem. And I think that the other reason that this, to me at least, the reason that this community campus option jumped off the page is because it actually solves all of the problems that we're looking at right now.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the board? All right, so we'll schedule, so RGB come in, give detailed overview on the next, so it's August 3rd. I think I said August 4th. August 3rd. Whatever the Monday is. That's right.
4th.
4th. Is it the 4th?
Yes, the
August
4th.
4th.
You're coming back on the 3rd.
August 4th, Monday. We'll have that. All right, thank you.
So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, town administrator reports.
All right, so, again, we're still working with the city of Fall River on past water billing. I think we are very close. If we're not there already, we just don't have the final documents approved. We're also working with them on a new intermunicipal water agreement. We're looking for an agreement that's consistent with some of the surrounding towns, Tiverton and Freetown, which would be beneficial to the town of Westport, as well as the ratepayers that are using the water. At some point, we may need assistance from the select board to maybe meet with some of the representatives with Fall River, but I suggest we give it another week or two and see how it goes, and if that doesn't work, then maybe we take the next step. They are working on it, it's just, all these things take time. Town Farm, we have the apartment at the Town Farm. We had the Board of Health go in and do an inspection last week. They found a number of code violations. All need to be corrected. Many of them are relatively small, a couple, we're missing the covers to the light switch, or there's a,
Window painted shut.
what's that?
The windows painted shut.
A couple of the windows painted shut. There's some holes in the wall that need to be patched, and some minor repairs. I'm currently getting prices right now. We're contacting a few contractors to see if we can get them in there. I think the Board of Health is, knowing that we're in the process of getting it resolved, they've given us a little bit of time to do that. I'm hoping to get that done within the next week or so. Not sure on the cost. We don't have much money in the Town Farm account, so we may need a request from the reserve fund, depending on what's available.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question of Jim on this item? We've talked about whether or not there's logic in the first place to renting out part of the town farm for residents. I think there is, I guess it's been going on for 15 years or more. Really haven't been any problems. We get some money, but that's an historic building, historic area. Something here doesn't add up to me. And if I was starting all over again, I mean, anybody can say this, 20/20 is hindsight, right? But I'm not sure this is a good idea to rent it in the first place. That being said, if all of this is remedied, we can continue on because we've been doing it for so long. But I just throw that out for point of discussion.
So it's something the board could consider, right? We had looked at a 3-year agreement, and I think that's renewed yearly, but the board could modify that to a 1-year agreement and, give the tenant the opportunity to find another place over the year and then make a decision next year whether or not you want to lease it out or if you want to do something different with the building. As far as the code violations, we need to correct those anyway, so that'll be done regardless. The tenant's been a long-time tenant. I don't know how long she's been there, but I'd say a good 15 years anyway. As far as tenants go, she's a good tenant.
I have no issue with that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just questioning the fundamental.
I agree. It's,
Thing here,
we're not landlords. We don't have capacity to manage properties the way they should be managed. So I think long-term, we should be looking at maybe doing something different with the apartment.
Thank you.
Westport Point parking. Right? Our office has received a few complaints, or a number of complaints regarding parking conditions down at the point. It was paved a couple of years ago, and parking spaces were clearly delineated, and at that time to maximize capacity while also ensuring safety, right, allowing people to turn around at the end. However, the businesses down there have been successful, and with success comes more demand, so there's been more demand for the existing parking spots that are down there. The highway department has been down there, the police department has been down there. I know Chris Gonzalez is going to put up a couple more signs on the west side of the road down near the terminus, saying no parking on this side. You find that we're getting parking right next to the turnaround in front of the old Leach property. So in the signs, we're all on the other side of the road, which are difficult to see. So more visibility with the signage, I think, will help down there. The police department will also look at doing additional enforcement in that area to make sure that cars are parked properly. There's a small area that used to be part of the old bridge abutment. Not quite sure who owns it. And I don't want to commit to saying one person owns it over the other, but I think it's something we need to look at. It was part of the bridge abutment. The bridge was discontinued in 1962. Depending on how that was taken originally for the bridge, kind of dictates where that property goes after it's discontinued. I would suggest to the board that we ask town council or we ask the state Chapter 91 licensing people to take a look at it and just see if they feel it's been licensed to the abutter or if it's still under the control and authority of the town. That would be my recommendation to,
So this is in your report, you have a photo.
Yep.
And so this is that area right there that we're talking about, that there's some disagreement about who owns that
Right.
that property. And so the survey that was, there were surveys that were done down there.
yeah, so CPC hired Sean Leach or Northeast, I don't know if, he actually was with SciTech at the time, to gather all the data down there, right? So we looked at all the Chapter 91 licenses. In Chapter 91 licenses, anytime you fill tidelands, you're required to file a license with the state, and the state licenses that property to you. So he has those licenses. He also looked at deeds, information with the Old Town Landing, and he developed a plan, and on the plan, it looks like this is separate from the abutter and still in control of the town. The Chapter 91 licenses aren't clear from what I can tell. So I think it would be good to get that, either an opinion from town council, or we could request an opinion from the state with the Chapter 91 license to see what they actually licensed and to who they licensed it to.
Well, I think we need to find that out, right? So I think yeah,
I will move forward on that if the board.
I think we should. Is there, it's not just a title search, it's something different?
It'd be a title search, so it's not your typical title, right? It's on filled land, so on filled land, you get licensed by the state. Depending on when that license was issued, I think if you, and I'm just reading, like, I'm not an expert on this by any means, but if you go way back, the early filled lands, you could actually get title to the property. Nowadays, you can't. They only license the property to you. You don't get title to it. These are old Chapter 91 licenses, so, they could have title to the property, but this was town property up until 62, when it was discontinued. Not sure what happened to it at that point.
Okay, so I know there've been a lot of emails that have gone back and forth. So so you talked about the highway department and police department going down there, and there was supposed to be signage. So are we saying not all the signs got put up or do we think there needs to be new and different signs now?
They're putting new and different signs up, yeah. Additional signage.
And then, okay, so do we know when that's gonna be happening?
I don't, he's put up a couple of signs already. I think that he's not gonna put up a lot, but he's gonna put no parking on the west side of the road, as you get closer to the point. There are some signs there, but they're on, not the main poles, but on poles that go to houses on the west side. The main poles are on the east side of the road, and they have signs only parking on this side, but if you park on the west side, you don't necessarily see those signs. We just want to make it clear, so if tickets are issued, we can say, hey, there were signs there, you gotta pay the ticket.
But you go down there more than I do, but like, are people still parking like all willy-nilly, and even though the spaces are lined now, are they still parking?
Well, I think
all-
it's better, but, this is more in the summertime.
Yeah.
This is not a problem in November, but yeah, it's just a lot of people go down there and they park in random spots. I've seen a lot of parking on the east side where there's clearly no parking. But, it's one of those that, I think we should pay attention and try to come to some conclusions about this, but it's something that's going to be a long-term problem for the point. And if we keep talking about it and keep engaging everybody in the process, I'd hope it would come out, I'm an optimist, so I'd hope it would come out with some reasonable approaches, whether it be signing or, striping of parking spots or whatever. There could be other options, too, that haven't been explored. So it's going to keep coming up. I do want to mention something that's not directly related to this, but it's sort of tangential. There is a lot of confusion, and there's an example of the confusion as to parking. There is no parking on the west side. However, there's one exception. It's for the post office. You can park and get your mail at the post office, and it's 15 minutes that you can do it. Now, there are signs there. They were hard to find, and I've lived there a long time and had difficulty finding them. But anyway, with the help of somebody, we cleared that up a little bit, but there are two signs that designate 15-minute parking basically on the pole to the right of me and the pole to the left of me. So apparently the police department themselves were confused by this, and a police officer whom I do not know thought that he was going to ticket or maybe ticketed somebody for getting the mail and parking on the right side. But there are two clearly, now they're clear to see, the green, white with green letters, and one points that arrow and that arrow, so you have a 15-minute parking window. So that's just an example of the ongoing confusion people have about it.
There's also one or two property owners that have placed cones in front of their property to prevent people from parking there, and that is not acceptable either. It's public parking, anybody can park there. Unless there's a project, construction project where they gotta get their vehicle in, and even that, they should check with the police department first. So I did check with the chief, and we'll take a look at that as well. There's one that kind of puts two cones right at the edge of their driveway. Their driveway is very narrow, and cars park right up to it, so if they encroach on their driveway, they're not getting out. That's not, I don't think, as big a deal, but there are some cones that take up valid parking spots on the street.
Okay. Anybody in the audience want to contribute anything? You just need to go to the microphone.
I'm Kristen Fenley of 2065 Main Road, Westport Sea Farms down there. I agree with the confusion. I see it a lot. I do think that most people coming down have good intentions on parking. I have found that since the landing has been paved and lined, most people are using those. They're being respectful of that. I think the issue is going up the street. It's confusing. I do know that that specific driveway is really confusing because it also looks like the lawn. So I do see why they would have an issue and need to mark it. I do think a good suggestion would be to line it up the street on that side to indicate what is actually a parking spot. I find that there are some people that try to park in a way to block other people from parking down there as well. And I think that if there was lines just like there are at the landing, it would be more clear for anyone visiting. And I know that a lot of people think it's just the Sea Farms, but there's other businesses down there. I go into work a lot where the parking lot's already full. That it's not just me down there, it's all the businesses. I think everybody would benefit from having it lined. I'm not sure how far it goes up, but honestly, now that you speak about the post office, perhaps on that side, 2 spots as well, so that people understand, I can park here, this is the right place to be. I really do think people have good intentions down there.
Thank you.
Carrie and Fenley, 2065 Main Road. One of the suggestions in one of those various emails, down at the point there are several businesses. It's stated with their parking plans. Several years ago, we all met with Jim and a couple other members. And it was determined that we were supposed to put up parking signs for our businesses so our patrons could actually see where to park, according to our parking plans. It was confirmed to me by Jim several years ago that we were the only business down there to indicate parking. If you're a summertime resident, you have no idea where to park. And then you have these businesses that actually state, oh, no, don't park there, when it's obviously their parking. It's all an effort to sort of undermine and make the Westport Sea Farms look bad. My wife tries really, really hard, and then you have bad players in the neighborhood. And now it has escalated from cones to trash barrels. Nobody needs to put a trash barrel out at 11 a.m. in front of their property. I mean, when we code this, it will need to include couches, airplanes, hangars, whatever you want to call it. It's just petty, and I think it is all tied to a specific inn that is just in the lurch, I guess, for a license. There is no clarity, as far as I know, if they have a license, if they don't. If you ask, it's sort of up in the air. I think these are clear things we have to indicate so we know when if a patron leaves or somebody says, oh, we were coming from the Sea Farms, well, were you? Where were you coming from? There's also parking for the boats and the marinas down there. I mean, all those boats, all the marinas, those people have to park places. We also have people coming down to the point, parking and hopping on boats, which is great, but we have to account for that. It's all random. They're hopping on the town dock. The other thing, every Wednesday night, we, as license holders, have to protect our licensed area, and alcohol is not allowed to be removed from that area. Every Wednesday night, we have up to 40 to 50 cars down there, and people are drinking out in the street, parking wherever they want, parking on the dock, blocking fishermen. I mean, we have to look at the whole situation. It's very easy to put it on us. It's very easy for the successful person or business to get hated on. I think there's a lot of talk there. If everybody could work together, I think there's enough parking there. First and foremost, let's put up the signs on those other businesses. Second, all the sidewalks need to be maintained. Let's mark the curb cuts. Let's line up the street. Then you can actually enforce these things. I think that's the harder part of it. When the police go down, they don't know what to enforce. We also, as an act of good faith, we called the police and asked if we could hire a detail. The police department actually told us, you can't hire a detail for any of the parking down there, just your lot. And that wouldn't help the situation. It wouldn't stop the calls. So there's a lot there. I think we can all improve on it, but if I realized the hill was, we put cones out. That was because we had our neighbor parking on that hill and blocking 4 spaces that half the crew uses on purpose, just to sort of subvert us. And then we put them out, and then the next day they call on us when they have cones in front of their house. So we have to collectively work together. There's questions here. What is going on? What's the main purpose? But I think I know the focus is on the 63 years, it looks like, from what my sort of research has showed. That hill has been, according to the assessor's office, the owners of Lee's Wharf have been paying taxes on it. And in 2025, we need to spend money in a time crunch to figure out who owns the hill. We don't care about putting out cones. We took them down right away. The neighbors, not at all. They put more up and they put trash barrels. I mean, it's just bonkers. I think what would be more, can we look at town council to enforce the other businesses to put up signs? I mean, I think that's practical. I also question why in that report, that hill was center focus. I mean, we have paperwork that shows with the assessor. When we went to the assessor, they said you can put cones on your property. This clearly denotes your property. And then immediately we have a picture from our adversarial business sent, and it's in this report. The town administrator didn't even go down there and look, which is crazy to me. And then at the same point, the people are doing the same thing, privatizing public land. So it starts looking pretty bad in some ways, you know? I know for a fact the town administrator drives around and checks on things. At the half marathon with Horseneck, I was running in it myself, and I saw Jim driving around. So I know he is capable of driving around, taking pictures and that sort of thing. I don't think we should leave it to other owners, and I don't think we should bow and be biased to those things. So it's getting frustrated. As I said, I protect my wife, our business. We do a great job. That's why we're here.
Thank you. So we're going to have legal look into the ownership of that parcel. I do think we need to, if we have conditions on those properties for them to put parking signs on, we need to see if they are doing it.
I'm not aware of any specific conditions. Now, there's some old zoning variances that required parking that I don't know if those have all been applied, but I can check. I will check the permits that they had from the zoning board and see if there are any specific requirements for off-street parking signs.
Because we might not be able to do, I mean, we might not be able to force them to put them up, but if there are conditions and they're not meeting them, then we certainly don't have to license them next year, right? So I just want, let's get an understanding of that, whether they actually are, part of their plan includes marking their parking.
And just to be clear, as far as the cones go, if you guys are confident you own the property, then you can put the cones up. I'm not telling you you can't, I'm just saying it's questioned, and that's why I questioned it, so.
In reference to the signs, I'm not sure that it was a requirement. It was asked of us. When we had all the meetings with Jim, Chris Leonard at the time, I believe Lieutenant Bell at the time, and there's one other, the landing.
Probably Jeff Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We each individually had to meet with them, and I was informed that they asked every business owner down there to put up the signs. I immediately went home, ordered my signs. They were up within a week. I don't believe that was mandated to do, but we were asked to do it, and I am the only one that did it.
All right, thank you. Okay. Anything else on that?
No, that's it.
You're done with the report?
Yeah.
Okay, we did the minutes already. We have the bill warrant.
We had two in your package that might be confusing, but one was wrapping up last year, so it's dated 6/30, that was $1.4 million, everything's in order. Then there was another one that's dated 7/11, because now it's a new fiscal year, that was $895,000, so that explains that. That happens every year at this time, but everything's in order as it should be. That's my report.
All right, thank you. So then we have liaison committee reports or suggestion for future agenda items. Dick?
The only thing I would have talked about was the search committee, but we've done that, so I'm all set for now. Madam Chair.
All right, I think the only one I went to is offshore wind, and I will let Dave talk about that. I did go to the Recreation concert. Recreation has Thursday night concerts now. It's a really nice spot. They have live music Thursday evening, $5. Great. Go ahead.
So the only meeting we had was offshore wind. We had a acoustics expert in here laying out really the impacts of the further expansion of offshore wind to the town of Westport, not only the aquatic impacts, but meaning for the acoustics, but also inland. I think we learned a lot from, possible white noise situations with the amount of turbines that may be out there. So it was educational. We are still trying to do that in a lot of our offshore wind committee hearings, to bring experts in to present data, just so that we have kind of the information we need if a decision were to come back up in the future. And we are meeting on a less frequent basis, usually once a quarter at this point, and we will be meeting again in October again. That's it.
All right, thank you. Is there any comments or statements from the public?
I just had the one I talked about
Go ahead.
before. I just had, I let Shauna and Jim know beforehand, we were in discussions. I know there's been an ongoing issue with Hicksbridge Landing in the egress of getting out of that landing that fell on a neighboring property owner, the Masons, the Masonic Lodge there, the Nookchoke Lodge. I had been trying to work through them to try to get an agreement in place, more of a short-term agreement, allowing the town to use that exit point. We're going to, Jim and town council, myself, presented I thought a pretty fair plan. It was basically going to get rid of any liability for the lodge. We're going to make improvements to the exit. We're going to put up new road signs, allow the lodge a certain amount of parking passes to use that landing. And unfortunately, at a meeting they had last Thursday, they unanimously declined our offer. Again, this was a non-binding, short-term, let's use it for the summer until we can figure out a way to maybe make it work in the future. So it's unfortunate. I thought we were making some headway, and I know this was addressed by the Landing Commission before. It's disappointing. We essentially provided everything that they had asked for in our discussions, and again, they had no desire to address it. I mean, it would essentially be using that exit with no liability, and hopefully we were going to help them with some improvements. And that did not go as planned, so we are back to essentially not being able to use that access point or that exit across the land, and see how we address it in the future. But it doesn't seem like there's a willingness to work with us. And to the credit, the lodge president was great. He worked with us. We had great discussions. It came down to a membership decision and a membership vote, not the leadership, and that's what they came up with. So really unfortunate for the town and for those people that use that landing.
All right, thank you. Just want to remind people that there are plenty of boards and committees that could use your help, and even if they don't look like they have vacancies, come talk to somebody, because a lot of them do. We don't have any topics for under 48 hours. So we are going to go into executive session. We're only going to come out to adjourn. I will entertain a motion pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, where the chair declares an open meeting will have a detrimental effect to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than the professional competence of an individual, or to consider the discipline or dismissal of or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual, and B, to have the minutes, to approve the minutes of April 28, 2025. So moved. And you have to say your name.
Oh, Jacob.
Richard Brewer seconds that.
We'll have a roll call vote.
Aye, Jacob.
Aye, Shauna